with you. Flip the dotion in the bed and read the manga till it's two. Tell me that you love us if I go, I'm knowing that it's true. Cause you acting all moe and vanilla in my view. So this is for them waifus. Straight 2D flex in my life, fool. If you fuck with him, tell you my dude. Let the beat right out, keep it nice and smooth, yo. Hello?
We good?
I think so.
I thought you was recording our conversation.
We are.
Okay, we're good.
All right. Hey, everyone.
Hey.
Welcome to the weeabooze, the anime podcast where we get drunk and talk about anime. I'm Kyle.
I'm Hunter.
I'm Kevin.
And we have a new friend
Kevin.
with us today. Kevin, what's up?
Nothing much, man. I'm glad
You took
that I'm
a really
here.
poor timing for that beer drink.
Okay,
No, it's
I
great.
don't know the cues and signals yet to take my drink and, go around the mic, but
Well, you know what? It looks like we're starting out with a drink.
All right, sure. The rule is, for those of you who don't know, I have anime wallpapers being cast to my TV. If a sexy one pops up, we take a drink.
oh really?
Yeah, it's a drinking game
It's
we
our
play.
drinking game.
And also, what are we drinking?
Oh, we're drinking Osaka
well-
Blues Brewery. It's a Colorado brewery, and the beer is called Blue Dream.
Cool. So, Kevin, why don't you give us a little background about your
Make
history
your
in
fucking
anime?
introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Kevin.
Well, yeah, I am indeed Kevin. I play a lot of video games. I watch a lot of animes. I read a lot of mangas. So I'm not on the high caliber. Like I'm not an anime manga connoisseur, but I'm pretty much like in between. Like I'm getting up there.
It's
And
like Kyle Light.
Cool.
yeah, Cal Light, indeed. Like hentai for life.
Yeah, they're real good friends.
Yeah, real good friends. Hits me up every Monday for his terabyte.
For my terabyte of hentai.
Yep.
So- all right. So, if there's one thing we're good at doing on this podcast, it's taking a seemingly insignificant thought or observation and grossly overanalyzing it. So that's what we'll be doing tonight. Whether it be steam from a hot spring, mysterious rays of light shining through a window, or simply long strands of hair draped over a girl's shoulders,
Yeah, that one's real.
anime creators are notorious for devising methods to keep the anime titty hidden. While these excessive yet convenient excuses to cover up sensitive anime parts still persists, usually for comedic effect, in recent years there's been an increase in simply not drawing nipples. Mainstream anime characters are allowed to be depicted as naked as long as they remain nippleless. We casually accept these mannequin-esque bodies as normal as a result of the necessary evil known as censorship. Censorship, as well as the fact that Japanese media likes to keep their characters pure, are two qualities we use to justify the absence of sex in anime on a previous episode. However, unlike the complete absence of sex in anime, nudity, if you want to call it that, is commonplace thanks to this nipple loophole. There are countless anime that do this. I can think of 3 from the currently airing season alone, but the one I'm sure we'll be referring to most, and we'll be using as a frame of reference, is Kill la Kill.
Oh, yeah. I was going to use Kill la Kill as mine.
So, let me start by asking something I never thought I'd ask. What is the lack of nipples doing to the anime industry? Honestly, do you think it's possible that there are unforeseen consequences to treating nudity this way, or is it a moral workaround we should be content with?
I mean, as of now, it's a moral workaround. Like, you're not going to be able to change the situation in a couple years. It's just like when, parents in the 80s hated, or I guess 90s and 2000s hated violent video games, and now it's always think of the children, right? So-
More combat. Not anymore.
Right.
So with that mentality, do you think
I
in
think
the
it'll
future?
stop. Yeah, eventually. I think that people will grow up basically, right, and then be okay with it. Because I think that violence is kind of that was the big hot topic, a decade ago, 2 decades ago, and now it's it's really not that big of a deal anymore. In Grand Theft Auto, if people get pissed about Grand Theft Auto, it's not that you can steal a car, run over a cop, and shoot a police helicopter with a
police
rocket
copter?
launcher or something. Right? A police
No, you
copter.
said
Police helicopter.
pull over my car, shot police copter. Oh, you mean officer? No.
No, but I'm saying or stabbing random people. That's not the big hot topic in GTA anymore. It's, oh my god, you can go to a strip club and see nipples. Think of the children.
See, I thought they were more big about the torture part.
I mean, okay.
See, they're okay with killing now, but when they're doing it for fun and torturing people, like that one scene in GTA 5,
Okay, maybe GTA is not the best example, but in
I'm just
general,
saying, man.
like violence isn't like frowned upon really as much. Like Mortal Kombat fatalities are as brutal as they've ever been, and people just don't even care anymore. Now it's about avoiding nudity. People
See,
don't
I
care
think
about
they're
drug
going the
use
right way
either.
though. Was they're bringing in like movie characters
What?
for like in Mortal Kombat? They brought in like Leatherface when he does his fatalities.
Oh, from Chainsaw Massacre?
Yeah.
But okay, that's not the point, Kevin.
Whoa, man.
What I mean is that from the past to now, you've seen these hot topics pop up. About something where it's think of the kids. This is mature content. We can't let the kids see this, and then it dies off, and then it goes to the next big topic. It's not rap lyrics or violence anymore. It's titties. So I think we'll mature past this at some point.
Okay, I mean,
Also,
it's
this is a drink.
Okay, sure.
First off, I definitely think they should just push harder for it because I'm totally down for anime titties. Just like as long like especially when they pass it off as a joke, like Renata no Boken or whatever. She even blames it like, "Hey man, you can't actually see me." Like, but I'm just gonna do this anyway. Just start showing around like, "Oh man,
Totally.
I like that." Like if they keep pushing it like that, like just funny, like or even show it, like I'm okay with it.
So only if it's comedy, don't lie. You want to see it in the non-comedy
Well,
form.
we'll get
And
into
that's why
this.
you go on rule something.
Rule something. Yeah.
Or something.
I mean,
okay.
we'll get into this more, but it's funny you say in the future, we'll become more lenient or more accepting, whereas we've actually retroactively, taken a step back. Anime used to be more open with nudity and nipples and all
I think
that
that's
jazz.
just because it's now in the limelight.
That's true.
It's
That's
a little
part
bit more
of it.
popular.
But we'll
now.
get into that. So the only positive comment I'll make about this type of censorship is that it allows something like Kill la Kill to be aired on TV and makes it palatable to a wider audience. I'm grateful for that. However, in regards to censoring nudity in this way specifically, I think the potential repercussion I'm most concerned about is the diminishing impact of nudity and what it can represent. The human body, in its most genuine form, is a powerful thematic tool that can depict sexuality, confidence, or vulnerability, but we're given a nippleless substitute that's expected to be just as impactful, when in actuality, it makes me feel indifferent or just distracted. The human body is something we're so acquainted with that if it's manipulated in any way, even if it's something as minor as erasing the nips, it becomes very apparent to us. There was a scene in Kizumonogatari Part 3 where Hanakawa is naked running away from these red groping hands in this white dreamscape, and I found it almost silly when it had the potential to be traumatic if censorship wasn't a concern.
You mean you're more drawn to the fact that they're censoring it than you are to what's actually happening.
Right.
See, that entire time I thought I was feeling kind of embarrassed because I was with my friends. I was like, that movie, that part of the movie, I was like, this is something I watched this episode. I'm watching this by myself. Like, this is not, I'm not watching this with my friends at all.
No, I got that too. Watching Kizu Part 3 in a theater was a tiny bit awkward.
It was a little weird, but
'Cause
it was more fun to watch other people kind of like cringing.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
being
yeah.
Oh no,
afraid
I was
than it
enjoying
was
myself. I was like, yes,
So
this is why Hancock is the best.
now, there's another type of censorship you may or not be more familiar with. Anime titties aren't a complete and total enigma. They do exist. Monster Musume,
do.
High School DxD, To Love Ru, there are plenty of anime that draw nipples but censor them for the TV broadcast so that you're encouraged to buy the uncensored Blu-rays. I appreciate
It seems
this
like
practice.
a better business practice, to be
It
honest.
definitely is. I mean, I appreciate this practice of censorship much more than the fleshy mannequin bodies we see in most Yuri shows, but this introduces another concern. If the first type of censorship diminishes the thematic significance of nudity, this type of censorship promotes nudity as purely erotic. What are your opinions on that? Are there drawbacks to having nudity be almost exclusively associated with, essentially, pornographic content?
I mean, there is a place for it, right? There's always going to be a place for it. Just in live action, there's always,
That
like-
one scene they always throw in, like
they
always throw in a sex scene.
Yeah, most nudity that I can think of from live action is from a sex scene. So it's used for an erotic, circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
And having nudity that's not erotic is actually, fairly difficult to pull off, right?
Sure. It depends on the context of the film. If the film is about one of those themes I mentioned, if it's about vulnerability or empowerment. I mean, Kill la Kill's a perfect example.
Right. I mean, Kill la Kill is a good example in the sense of doing it for something that's something besides eroticism, but people are still going to look at it in an erotic light. Like you're never going to be able to stop that, even if your intentions for the scene are pure, or the reason for having nudity in it. So, I mean, it's hard to say because I think that you're never going to go away from being, probably more than 50% of nudity being for an erotic, circumstance, but I just think it's really hard to pull off something that's, that's not supposed to just plain be sexy, right?
Sure.
Like, I can't even think of a context in anime, at least.
Well, we'll talk about it in a minute.
You have a context for that when it's not.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
See, I have a very specific taste when it comes to seeing those scenes. Like, I had definitely never seen it.
Taste. That's the word he uses.
Taste, all right? Like,
All right. Well, I find it irritating that nipples are, for some reason, the sole factor used to determine whether or not something is sexual. It's bizarre. It disregards the philosophy of intent and signifies that nipples are inherently erotic. Yes, the naked human body is commonly interpreted as a sexual object, but as I mentioned previously, it's possible for nudity to be symbolic of nearly anything. If we continuously subject ourselves to media where nudity is portrayed as pornographic, not only are we encouraging creators to use nudity in a tasteless fashion, but we're encouraging that association in our own minds as well. We're teaching ourselves that nudity has a singular purpose. The most recent example of this, which I find absolutely insane, is that in the Sword Art Online movie, Asuna has a fully uncensored titty scene. Like,
Sweet.
this is a bit of a side tangent, but like, I'm still in shock from this. I know. SAO has a somewhat young demographic, and we know Japan likes to keep their idolized characters pure. So uncensored Asuna titty is something I would have never imagined happening. But if you want to go back on that, we can. But for now, anyway.
see, those fans would be very sad when they read the light novel, because she did more than that.
I know. But there's nothing particularly wrong with nudity being portrayed as sexual if that's the creator's desire or if it adds something to the story. But we shouldn't go into movies or series with preconceived notions regarding what something should symbolize.
I know you're being really mature on this topic right now, but there's some titties on the screen. We're going to need to drink about that.
Okay.
Well, I wouldn't consider that.
Oh, come on. That
Dude,
is...
well, you want to talk about Black Bob? You want to talk about Ikitosen
What
for
is
a little
this,
bit?
panty and stocking, I think?
Yes, this is panty and stocking.
Which one's panty?
Wait, Kyle, have you seen Ikitosen?
Yeah.
I just wanted to make
Just
sure.
wanted to know.
Yeah, I just want to know.
Which one's which?
Panties on the left, stockings on the right.
I like stocking.
Me too.
Nice.
I'm a very stocking kind of guy.
Good.
Not the.
Wow, this is the only thing we'll ever agree on in our lives, guys.
Okay,
So it's stockings number one of those two.
So any more thoughts on the downfall or the drawback of looking at, sexualized content as essentially pornographic, solely pornographic?
I think that it is a better alternative than to have it censored such that it's supposed to be this
like the screen goes to a whole new standby tactical scene.
I think if nothing else, it's a stepping stone toward having more mature versions of nudity, is to at least accept it as, hey, this is something that exists. Right now, maybe it's only for erotic reasons to have nudity, but actually showing it is a step in the right direction as opposed to censoring it and then having it anyway. Like, that's a weird middle ground to choose, right?
Yeah, I agree. Kevin, thoughts? Good.
I don't know what to say. Like I like everything he said. Like I agree. Like
Cool. So, the anime titty hasn't always been as elusive as it currently is. Before Japan's broadcasting regulations were thoroughly implemented and there were more movies and OVAs in production, nudity, actual uncensored nudity, was utilized in a purposeful way. Usually. Sometimes characters were just naked for the sake of being naked. Regardless, if we want to support our claim about the tremendous importance of nipples, we need to provide examples of anime that use nudity in a meaningful way. So, unless you guys have any shows in mind that you would like to talk about, we can jump into 3 examples that I came up with.
The only thing I
is one of
can
your
think
examples
of...
Ghost in the Shell?
It sure is.
I knew it.
Okay.
I had an idea. Like Ghost in the Shell was one of those scenes where it was okay for her to be naked because she was a robot. Now,
Yeah, that's
a
a
robot.
to be honest, I think it's because she was a cyborg.
That's my
Everyone
reasoning.
was she's a cyborg. It's just,
Reasoning 1, because she's a robot.
Yeah, because like I don't, unless you like robots.
I was gonna say, and now that I remember, Akira had nudity that I did not consider sexy.
Yeah, that's true. It was very brief, but impactful. I think that's a good example.
Okay, so there's my example.
Cool. The first anime that immediately came to mind, as we mentioned, is the 1995 Ghost in the Shell film. In a world where your consciousness can be placed in any material body, modesty becomes irrelevant. Morality in Ghost in the Shell suits the futuristic society it presents to its audience. What is and is not decent goes far beyond something as trivial as clothing. Motoko, being the leader of an infiltration and assault team, wears little to no clothing in order to properly use specific camouflage technology that requires her to be virtually naked. According to today's standards, that detail sounds like a total fan service gimmick, but it exists to enforce the fact that her body and her consciousness are two separate entities. That philosophy is made clear during the final scene in the movie where Motoko shows no regard for her physical form being torn apart through her own volition as she attempts to destroy a tank with her bare hands. Ghost in the Shell not only uses nudity as a thematic element, but implements it in a way that facilitates world building.
Again, cyborg. I don't really feel attachment. Exactly. Like she doesn't care about her body. I thought that was cool. Like her like breaking apart. I was like, wow.
It's pretty sweet.
Like it took me away that she was naked, that she was getting torn apart, basically.
Kevin was just like, robot, who cares?
I mean, pretty much, like, because I feel like when you're
not
a
a real
robot now,
titty. That's a robot titty.
it's just
I am not attracted to that robot titty.
okay. We could talk about Persona 4. I was attracted to that robot. She was pretty.
Four.
Oh, okay. I was like,
Yeah, didn't you see the robot in Persona 5? It was a big twist.
wow.
True ending.
Oh my
It was
God.
a true ending for that game.
My next example is Perfect Blue. The psychological thriller directed by Satoshi Kon implements nudity by captivating its audience through the use of traumatic realism. In this movie, we witness an ex-pop idol experience a mental breakdown as she's stalked by a neurotic fan. This idol, Mima, tries to move from a singing career to acting and ultimately is hired for a role in a risque movie. During a staged rape scene, Mima gets some of her clothing ripped off. And regardless of the fact that it's staged, her fall from grace, so to speak, is difficult to watch. The use of nudity adds to the severity of the scene and refuses us the opportunity to disassociate ourselves with what's happening on screen. Censoring something like this would not only ruin the impact of the scene, but it would feel disrespectful to both the creator and the subject matter itself. This is probably the most common way an anime will benefit from nudity. Berserk, for example, also uses nudity to dictate severity, contrary to the fact that the CG continuation took the nippleless route. But Kevin, you nodded. You've seen the original Berserk, is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So
I saw nipples.
you saw nipples.
I
right?
saw them nipples. Okay. But the new one, I'm not sure if they showed nipples or not. They should have just kept it like...
they didn't.
They didn't show it?
No.
That takes it away.
You
like,
just sound disappointed. Like,
no, I
it's
am
not
disappointed because it didn't matter. Like, for that scene, I was so, like, I don't like rape. So, like, that took me away from her being naked. And the fact that everything that was happening at that time, it didn't matter that she was naked. Like, it was going to happen. It's demons, man. Like, it's fucking demons.
Hunter is very confused.
No, it sounds like a traumatic scene.
It is.
If you haven't seen it, you understand. Like, if you've seen it, you understand why it didn't even matter she was naked. Because, like, so many things happening. I was like, wow, this is all fucked up. I feel so bad for Guts right now. Like, damn, that scene.
It's a very impactful scene. But finally, on a lighter note, Prison School is a grotesque comedy that presents itself in the guise of your everyday ecchi. Not only does the anime benefit from being uncensored, but it thrives on it. Nudity is the conflict, it's the solution, the motivation. Every component of the show originates from something sexual and uses nudity as a tool to navigate through it. Unlike generic fan service anime that use nudity purely for the sake of being erotic, every seemingly stupid sexual joke in Prison School unexpectedly becomes part of the overarching plot. Through the act of actually implementing consequences, Prison School borders on satirizing the ecchi genre as a whole.
Yeah, I'd say it's a satire, but it's still like it's still for the
Wait, is
most
it-
part erotic.
Is it really satire? I was gonna say, like, every scene I've seen from Prison School, I'm like, what was this extreme of her? Just like they just touch lips, like, oh,
I think
I'm
it's
orgasming.
really, really extreme as a satirization of it.
Oh, okay.
It all depends on your outlook. There are plenty of other examples of anime that use nudity in different ways. Belladonna of Sadness, Lupin the Third, End of Evangelion, Gunbuster, Diebuster, Golden Boy, Ranma, Cleopatra, Devilman, etc. Blue Gender.
Wait, have you seen Blue Gender?
I haven't. Isn't that the really bad CG one?
It's not okay. It's not CG.
No, I'm thinking of Blue Submarine.
Blue Gender is the one where the world's getting infested by these new aliens. Basically, the world's trying to recuperate itself. Like, it's trying to cleanse the Earth. So by doing that, they kill everything that's living to restart the new planet again. And it's like robots, and they have a space station. They're just trying to kill aliens.
I know of it. I have not seen it.
Oh.
But any final thoughts? Has anime lost its impact with its increase in censorship? Could anime like Kill la Kill benefit from showing actual nudity or not?
I think that the amount of shows that are trying to kind of get on the bandwagon of, like, you know, sex sells has just increased, and that means that you kind of notice it more. Yes.
What's the like random ass blinding light on the nipples and stuff? Or are you talking about like after showing the nipples?
No, I'm saying just like shows in general. Like there's been an increase in anime in general, but on top of that, there's been an increase in
incognito.
like
jokes about-
ecchi or just like purely fan servicey shows. And if you want to have your audience be, you know, younger children, or, you know, if you have like an idol anime, you're not just going for the 18 plus crowd, right?
I feel like
Maybe not idol
very
anime.
like people know that it doesn't matter anymore. Like a lot of these cartoon shows are meant for, you know, the older audience. Like Rick and Morty or Adventure Time, like all these jokes they make.
Yeah, but that's the American audience. What I mean
Even
is
anime, like it's just to be known. Like, hey man, like this is what it is. Like you should just accept it. Like I think they should just accept it at this point.
but I don't think Japanese parents would.
Dude,
Yeah.
I think okay, bro. They are into so many weird shit. I think they'll totally be fine in their culture, at least.
Well, clearly not.
Dude, they have
Otherwise, they would
apartments with
draw
stripper-
nipples on the fucking
Bro,
characters.
they have apartment hotels that have stripper poles in the room. Just
What, love hotels?
they're not even love hotels. They're just they're just there just to increase like the libido of people.
The preservation of decency in media is simply a societal commonality that we have to live with. However, I do think censorship is a key factor in certain anime being less impactful. I think the overall message of Kill la Kill would have been tremendously more convincing and powerful if Trigger was able to practice what they preached.
I'm not sure about that. At least some of the scenes.
But what bothers me the most about censorship is the fact that it tampers with a creator's original intent. But my growing concern is that creators won't even bother concerning themselves with implementing nudity, and instead will immediately jump to this loophole for the convenience of avoiding censorship issues.
I hope they don't do that. I want them to do what they want to do. Like I like original content, and I want you to put what you want to put out there. Don't be like the guy from Bleach. That's all I'm saying. Word to every author: don't be like Bleach.
We were talking about Bleach before the show.
I think some ways of doing censorship are just vastly superior. I don't know why you would ever like just not draw nipples but draw the full, like, you know, a fully like shirtless female character when you can use tricks that you know, live action uses as well. Like even in Game of Thrones there's scenes where people will like, oh, they're in a tub, but when she stands up it pans to a back shot or something, right?
Right.
Wait, why
So-
would that matter? They have sex scenes in there.
Yeah, so it's not
Like-
all of the actors have the
Nipple
nudity
showing.
clause,
Okay,
right?
I'm just saying. I thought it was just
But what I
implied.
mean
Like
is
this is
that-
my book. I'm gonna make you get naked. Like that's my book. This
Or
is why
some,
our
some
game.
of the actors are like 15 or something, but in the book that's okay, right? Okay, anyway. What I mean is that there are more clever ways of disguising nudity than literally not drawing nipples, right? And I think that those would be a
Right,
better
we talked about
choice.
them, like light coming in from the windows, or draping hair, or these ridiculous things.
I don't think that's not a problem at
Or
all.
the character
But what's
actually
weird
putting
is
his
in
arms
Kill la
up.
Kill is when it's literally just like.
So I
not a
haven't watched
nipple.
Kill la Kill. So when you guys in that anime,
Just
did they
watch
actually
the
just show
intro.
nipples or something?
No, they don't.
No,
Or are you talking about when she's wearing her like skimpy ass
No.
outfit?
No, I'm not like legitimately during their like transformation scenes, she'll be actually naked but have no nipples.
Like as
Oh.
if she's wearing like a bodysuit or something.
Man, that's blower.
I know. So that wraps up this week's
But
or
that
this
fucking
month's
sucks.
topic.
Yeah, that does suck. Like, what was that anime about they use the butts and boobs as like attack moves?
Keijo?
Yeah. Oh man, they did it right. They did it just right. Was focusing on their booty and boobs
That's true.
without even showing their nipples. I was like, this is awesome.
That's the perfect answer.
Anime?
Keijo.
Keijo is the answer. You
Keijo
heard
is
it
the
here
answer.
first.
Yeah, dude.
All right, let's move on. So, before we answer this episode's listener question, I would like to read an iTunes review that we got.
Hey.
I know, it's so exciting.
You guys make music?
No.
Yeah, it's the
This is a podcast, Kevin.
Yeah, but you said iTunes. I thought Hunter, since he's been playing drums and shit, was Jeremy. And
I
like,
play guitar.
He plays guitar.
Jeremy plays
yes,
drums.
I know, but they're trying to get a band together. I thought it was for this.
No, this is a podcast.
Yeah, it's the We a Band, our first album.
Yeah, I do vocals.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, do you do like the scream?
He sings
Yeah.
in Japanese the entire time. It's
Oh, that's
crazy.
it. You guys
I
do the
know.
J-rock stuff.
Yeah.
We have Miku Hatsune in one of our tracks. It's good shit.
That's a.
But anyways, this review comes from Sasquatch XD, and the title of the review is "Kyle, you have such a beautiful."
Pretty sure the XD is a face.
No, it's XD.
What?
Well, how do I convey that through audio, Hunter?
Okay, fair.
So the title of it is "Kyle, you have such a beautiful." I think it was cut off, but I assume they were going to say
Face.
group of friends. Such
No,
a
they were
beautiful.
definitely going to say voice.
This review says, I found the podcast because I was looking to hear discussion about a cartoon I had been shown called Katanagatari.
Oh.
And after that episode, I started episode 1 of the podcast. Today, 3 weeks later, I am now nearly caught up with the podcast, have watched multiple shows based off their recommendations, and now
Hell
consider
yeah.
myself an anime fan.
Watch Black Bible.
It's thanks to these guys that I have found several of my new favorite shows, Steins Gate, Tsukigakure, and Mob Psycho 100.
Fuck yeah, dude. That's awesome.
And have realized that anime is more than just the good Japanese cartoons on Netflix. Keep up the good work.
Oh, that makes me happy.
So
Proud of you, pal.
every
I have
iTunes,
brought Steins Gate to another person.
I know every
Still haven't
iTunes.
watched Steins Gate, but I'll borrow your DVD eventually.
Yeah, dude. I have the movie too. Although my Blu-rays are the UK version, so you have to have a Region 2 Blu-ray player. Basically, I've had them for 4 years and never been able to watch them.
Nice.
What an amazing purchase.
So every
The
iTunes
UK
review.
ones had better
Damn it,
front covers.
Yo, man, our leader
And they were
is
cheaper.
trying to progress. I get you. We
The
should have been wearing a
fearless leader,
Steins
Kyle.
Gate shirt instead of a Persona shirt.
Buy me a Steins Gate shirt.
I will. That's
Kyle,
actually-
please speak.
Oh, you want me to speak?
Oh man, I'm sorry. Actually,
I guess I will if you want me to. So every iTunes review we get is helpful, but that one was like incredible for so many reasons. I assume the majority of our listeners are people who have been following me on Tumblr, but this is like a really cool instance of seeing someone truly stumble upon our podcast. So thank you so much for the review and kind words. And I also want to thank all of our listeners who reblog and share the episode and just get the word out. So now we can move on. This episode's question, we don't do it weekly anymore. This episode's question comes from Piddle Dance, and they ask, how do you feel about Yuri? Sakura Trick was the bomb. That is their question. Yuri, girl on girl.
So, should I ever watch Sakura Trick?
No,
I should not.
no.
Okay. So, that tells me a lot about it.
I don't, well, I say no because I don't think it's your type of show.
Okay. So, I specifically would not like it, but Sakura Trick is the bomb.
Well, I'll give you my answer. So,
Yuri as in the girl. Girl,
Okay,
right?
the fact that you had to think about it means no.
well, listen. There are two types of Yuri. There's trash, like Sakura Trick and Valkyrie Dive Mermaid, that use Yuri as a gimmick. Straight males like to watch girls kiss each other. Therefore, there are entire series dedicated to just that. So if you like that, go for it. Then there are Yuri anime that take the subject matter seriously. Revolutionary Girl Utena, for example, explores deep and psychological interpretations of sexuality and gender roles. I thoroughly enjoy both types of Yuri, but obviously on entirely different levels for entirely different reasons. I regard Utena as a classic that most anime fans should watch, whereas Sakura Trick is pornographic, basically. So it's interesting, though, that Yuri is even a prominent genre in anime in the first place, and the fact that it's often presented in a feminine way, it obviously has a dominant male demographic.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I don't watch it. Actually.
You don't watch it?
No, because like it's the same as yaoi. Like,
Well, it is,
like,
yeah.
like guy on guy. Like I don't watch any of those genres because like for me, I like to live through my character. I'm not living myself through a woman. Like I'll stay true to this for every anime. I like to live my life through that character. That's why I watch a lot of animes, and a lot of my animes involve romance because I like to live through their life. Like, I want to have.
You want to get the girl at the end.
No, it's not even that. I want a harem, man. Like, I can't get that in real life.
Yes.
I cannot support that.
Kevin likes to live vicariously through the protagonist, and if there are two females,
That's why he never picks a female character in RPGs or anything.
I picked the manliest class, like berserker classes. Like, that shit is my jam. Like, I'm on.
Who did you pick in P5? That's my question to you.
Makoto.
All right, that's a solid.
Yeah, because she has short hair. Like, short hair bitches get me, and I like to have harems, and I couldn't get that in P5.
Sweet.
If you still have beer drink.
Yeah.
It's been a good drink episode.
Yeah, it's straight up that Hunter's just drank all his, and I have to.
Oh, I'm sorry, I finished my beer too fast.
All right.
Anyway, I have no problem with.
But
with
the
Yuri.
stories in Yuri's, like, I don't think they appeal to me. Like, I think they're kind of boring.
They're just about kissing.
Yeah, I know, but like
It sounds good.
animes that have like action and romance, like they get like they're mostly like straight, like they're girl on guy.
I mean, I said Valkyrie Drive, Mermaid.
Is Valkyrie Drive the?
It's just girls kissing and fighting. They kiss, and when one of them turns into a weapon, and they fight with the little girl.
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
Your monotone descriptions of wacky anime is my favorite part of the shows.
You're just like this fucking
It's so
pleb.
good, dude.
Just doesn't know shit.
Just make a video of you doing that for like 5 minutes straight.
And like, that'll be my ASMR. People will fall asleep to my anime
Dude, I
descriptions.
would watch your ASMR.
But to be honest,
Get a
I would-
360 mic, dude.
I would have to check that anime out because it has fighting in it. But most of the time, like the story for like Yuri's or Yaoi's are just kind of boring. Like it's just
okay, I
it's
get
just,
that.
They don't actually do much. Like they're not. They're both mostly about the romance part. Like I want some more than that. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Okay.
But
Well, let's move on to what we've been watching.
Okay.
the gambling one.
Kakegurui.
Yeah.
See, I watched the first 2 episodes and I was like,
Hunter-
not for me.
It's because you don't like enough titties, my friend.
What?
Like that anime is
Honestly,
like.
the thing that turned me off the most was the crazy people faces.
What, dude? I love the erotic looking faces, like
Erotic?
especially the
Those
eye
are not
patch
erotic.
chick.
They were kind of erotic.
Dude,
I don't know.
she
Depends
makes-
on the person.
But okay, so to me, apparently Kyle tells me that this
Wait a minute, why
changes.
wouldn't you like that? Because like that's like the most yandere looking face I ever seen in my life.
What?
Yandere's had that face.
Yeah,
the,
but
the
what-
most like, oh, I'm about the orgasm.
What
just said
about
a word.
what about me? Screams,
What about
love
you?
that.
Like, I'm just saying, like, you like Yandere animes.
Do I?
Yandere anime.
Yandere, am I not saying it right?
No, you got it. I
Okay,
just missed it.
because he watches Mirror Nikki. Like he
I
brought
stopped
up.
it halfway
I know, but you
through.
should have just kept watching because it was actually a good anime. On top of it being like,
It sounds like you like it and you're trying to
not.
live
because it was
vicariously
good.
through
I thought it was cool.
It's not.
What? Mirai
The
Nikki
killing
not
was
that
like
good.
pretty like, oh my god, this is just fucking murdering each other for just random ass reasons. You didn't
Yeah,
like the anime?
I do not like Yandere
No.
very much. Anyway,
You know, people
I don't
like-
know where you got this from.
Because you brought up that anime, I was like, oh, this anime is not that
Because
bad.
I told you I was watching Mira and Nikki, and then
and
I
you like,
can't-
and
I
then you
stopped
get you,
watching
and then
it.
you told me like, dude, I love that Yandere chick.
You guys need to chill.
Gasai Yuno?
If I had a picture of him,
We do have a picture of you. It's in Jeremy's room.
dude, you guys have several pictures of me, and I use myself as an emoticon. But I'm saying, I remember you specifically that you.
That probably sounded weird over audio. We have a picture of Kevin in Jeremy's room.
We do.
It was a white Christmas gift, and it
White
was just
Christmas?
it was a yeah.
White elephant.
White
White
elephant.
elephant.
White Christmas.
White Christmas is just when it
Yeah,
snows.
it's just snowing.
Okay,
man.
fine. White elephant Christmas gift to Jeremy was a framed picture of Kevin, and he still has it in his room.
Dude, they're
That's
gonna get
the
more
story.
pictures of me. Like the next white elephant would be
I'm
my.
getting a little bit off track.
I think we're gonna get a cake this time.
Okay.
But yeah, that poker one, the yokai apartment, and the cooking restaurant one, the restaurant from another world.
Shinkeki
Yeah.
no Sumo.
So, Kakegurui, for me, my opinion has not changed much. I think it might be my favorite of the season.
Dude,
But-
it is.
But I don't think that's saying much. I think it's a very weak season.
Oh, no, don't get me wrong. It is a weak season. I'm just saying, like, for if I had to pick one from this season, it would be that poker one.
Isekai Shokdo or Restaurant to Another World, my opinion also has not changed on that because nothing has made it change. It's been the same thing every week.
You know, definitely. I think the story in that is kind of boring. I just like the food. That's why I'm waiting for next season for Shogeki no Sona.
Well, no,
So you can look at the food.
I sort of agree with you. I mean, I disagree in the sense that the food is not interesting. The food is extremely
their food's not
mundane.
interesting. It's just like them pouring out like, oh man, they're making like basically like a regular restaurant.
An omelet, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Just like,
Ice
oh wow,
cream.
next level omelet we're coming through, or this rice and eggs or whatever. I'm like, okay, like I just respect that they like to make little tiny things extremely like good, but they're not.
Sure. So, Hunter, you have watched.
I've
a
watched
lot.
some weird stuff lately. Well, weird in the sense of I haven't watched anything from the season. I watched Kakegurui. I watched the first 2 episodes and I was like, not for me.
Yeah, we
right?
talked about that.
You're watching old anime right now.
All 75 episodes of Critical No Basket. It was awesome. Oh my god, I fucking loved it.
Tell us about that.
Okay, so I went into it, just thinking, the reason I started watching it was because I started playing basketball with some coworkers after work, and I started playing, basketball maybe 2 times a week. So I was like, hey, I like basketball. Let's watch a basketball anime. And I was recommended this not only by Kyle, but by a coworker of mine that had watched it. Well, okay, and apparently Kevin as well.
Well, I told you to watch
Kevin recommended it, everyone.
You should watch all the sports anime. Aisha 21, Hajime no Ippo, just any of them.
I'm not going to watch Hajime no Ippo.
You're watching that
Ippo's-
fucking shit, and I'm telling you, they had the best sound effects for all the impacts of their moves.
I have to watch sports that I really enjoy. Okay.
Ippo's
Aisha 21, you watch football, don't you?
I should.
I will.
Aisha 21 was
I want to watch
for me,
Haikyuu, even though I don't like volleyball.
You
that
will
much.
like volleyball after watching Haikyuu. If you liked Hajime no Ippo.
Apparently,
I'm
Haikyuu-
sorry. If you watched Kuroko. If you liked Kuroko.
Haikyuu though?
Yes.
Haikyuu was
Yes,
definitely different
Haikyuu.
from Kuroko. I think if I watch Haikyuu first, then Kuroko, I could do it. But if I watch Kuroko no Basket, then Haikyuu, I'm like, I can't. Because I think Kuroko no Basket has more.
Anyway,
Disagree.
I really liked Kuroko no Basket because it seemed... One thing I really liked about the show is that they don't dick around with the school stuff literally at all. Like, every single episode is just, like, another game or, some sort of backstory. And it's all about basketball. There's no bullshit where, like, somebody's failing a test and they have to help them study or something.
Actually, doesn't that happen though?
No.
Okay.
The only episode that would be considered kind of fillery is they go to an onsen after one of the games, right? And there's, like, some... they try to
actually
stack
progress
themselves up and see into
Okay,
the girl side.
when they went to the hot
funny.
springs, it was. I didn't think it was a filler.
No. I mean, that was a fun little episode right after a bunch of stressful games, right? Mm-hmm. Anyway, I really liked that. At least maybe 70% of it was at least realistic, as opposed to just some bullshit.
That's right, Honor.
The 30% was awesome, but it wasn't exactly
It was just
realistic.
full awesome, but not something I can do.
I do that stupid behind the back elbow pass.
Dude, Akashi did that. That's why when you did it, I was like, "Oh, you're doing that shit from Kuroko Basket. Like, why are you doing that?" I
Dude,
mean,
legit,
it's a legit real life move. Like, you go look it up on basketball.
Jason Williams does that.
Yes, that guy.
But like I started using that in the games with my coworkers. My buddy's like, "Hey, dude, what's that basketball anime you watch?" I'm like, "All right, I know what play we're doing today." Do a little behind the back elbow pass to him because of that. Anyway, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm going to probably watch some more sports anime.
Yeah, because this was your first, right?
This is the first thing I would consider a sports anime, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then also because I'm really into cars,
Did not watch it.
I started watching Initial D.
Did not say Initial D, man. You're there for the music.
Okay, fine. I'm there 90% for the Eurobeat, but it's pretty sweet. Like,
Dude,
the
you should
animation
just
is
read it. Like,
god awful. Like it's the CG for the races is really bad.
It's fine.
But the
for
Eurobeat
the time,
makes
at the
up
time
for
it was good.
Yeah.
But right now, like my standards are set high. I mean, that'll be another episode.
I mean, the
where-
anime itself, it's like I have like a 480p like upcasted version,
yep,
but it's still like it's really blurry looking.
No, it's hard to get a better quality than that.
Right. So it is a little bit,
Hunter,
low
Stefan
quality.
had the actual Initial D. Like,
Oh, I have all the
No,
DVDs.
he has all of them.
you have it too. Like, even if you watch from the DVD, it's still not.
It's
that
still
great.
not that good, right? It's still like 480p. But I'm enjoying the Eurobeat. The story's like meh. But I like the cars, I like the Eurobeat, and I like I don't know. It's a fun waste of time. It's not something that I'm gonna like, it's not gonna go on my top 10 list, but it's a good
it's
waste
in your
of time.
top 10 already. I already know. Like, and deep in your heart, you won't tell me.
Okay,
or Kyle,
I do listen to the Eurobeat while driving now, but that's it, right?
Sure. So, For me, it's nearing the end of the season. I've actually been feeling a bit cynical towards a lot of the shows I've been watching.
Do you know about the new season yet? I was trying to find the new season, like upcoming. Besides,
I know of it. I'm not like very knowledgeable about the new shows that are coming out. I actually try to avoid looking at the new season charts.
why? Like,
Because-
I need to know. Like, I'm like, should I be stoked or not? There's only one anime I'm stoked about, and that's it.
I avoid looking at it because I'm typically caught up, in the climaxes of all the shows I'm currently watching, and by the time I even have time to look up what's coming out next season, it's already here. So I kind of like going in blind to certain shows, but I'd be lying if I said I'd never looked at what's coming out. And by the time, the next episode will come out of this podcast, we'll be like a week or two into the new season. So we'll have a lot to talk about because we'll have endings to certain shows to talk about as well as the new season.
Mostly just Boku no Hero.
Well,
What other anime, man? Like, there's no other anime right now that I think that's hype that everyone's watching besides that.
It's all about the hype.
It's hype.
well, so I've been watching Welcome to the Ballroom. I know that Ballroom has a
Wait.
fair amount. Yeah, what up?
What do you think of that anime?
I'm going to talk about it.
Oh no, I'm gonna say like,
You just interrupted him telling you
sorry,
what he was going
like
to think
I
about the
didn't
anime.
know, but they're making like that's gonna be on the next season of anime. Like,
I think it's
ongoing.
continuing, yeah.
Yeah, it is continuing. That's why I was like, is it actually that good? Like, is it very yaoi or is it pretty?
No,
straightforward?
not at all.
Oh, really? So it's pretty like I'm trying to become the best skate or dancer.
I don't know if
Yeah.
you meant that, but you said, is it pretty yaoi or is it straightforward?
No, I definitely did meant that. Like, no, because I thought it was a gay anime. Like, I thought it was meant for
Gay anime?
dude. Fucking that rugby anime ruined me all out. Oh my gosh. That anime ruined me so hard.
You used to watch Free.
Okay,
Free's-
Free was
Free's pretty
actually like it was
decent.
not that bad. Like I didn't
good?
watch all of it, but I thought Free was good. Okay,
Yeah, Free's pretty decent.
but All Out was just ruined it.
So, Welcome to the Ballroom. I know that Ballroom has a fair amount of flaws, but there's something about the show that I find captivating. Two complaints that come to mind are music and the portrayal of female characters. I don't like how the show uses somewhat generic music instead of actual musical pieces during dance scenes, and parts of the show feel very misogynistic, although the show has been getting better at how it frames females. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to put my finger on the quality that makes Ballroom so entertaining to me. Maybe it's how simplistic it is. The show is nothing but characters and the relation to ballroom dancing. Those are the only two elements in the show. And because the scope of the anime is so narrow, there's a clear centralized focus on these handful of individuals who aren't even particularly deep, yet I find myself caring about, all of them. Every week I feel like I'm checking in on their life rather than stepping into a story.
What's wrong with them depicting the female? I thought it was mostly focused on the males because males aren't really known for the dancing and whatnot. That's why they want to focus on the males, and the girls are like kind of there.
Right. I mean, they actually addressed it somewhat.
About the male thing, like, oh hey man, there's not a lot of males that go into this.
No,
scene.
there's this whole idea of the flower and the frame. The male ballroom dancer is the frame and the girl is the flower. And like there was an entire episode about how you display your partner basically. But everything up until like before that seemed very like stupid and disrespectful towards the female characters, as if they were just throwaway comedic or fan service elements. Next is Gamers. Although Gamers has had some pretty incredible moments of humor and suspense to a certain degree, I think it will end up being nothing more than a slightly below average show. As far as Love Hexagon anime go, Gamers handles the absurdity well, but at the expense of believable characters. The characters were written to be oblivious rather than having obliviousness as a justified character trait. A character's ignorance is only overcome when it's convenient for the plot. I feel like every misunderstanding that occurred was really grasping at my suspension of disbelief. It was hard for me to accept all these characters to be as ignorant as they are. Comedic misunderstandings are more suited for non-linear anime like Nozaki-kun, where every moment of cluelessness is just a gag, not a plot point. I'm enjoying the anime, as are most people. I just think it's nothing to get too excited about because it will be forgotten by the start of the next anime season. Hajime to no Gal, Restaurant to Another World, and Fate, my opinions
no Gal.
are all
Oh,
unchanged.
God.
Unchanged opinions on all those. They are what they are. They are very self-aware, and they just are giving the fans what they want to the fans that who are watching them. Made in Abyss. Oh my gosh.
Wait, Tsunade Children this season or last season?
This season.
Dude,
It's really good. I haven't talked about it much on the show.
you should talk about more. Okay, I've been watching a lot of YouTube clips of gamers and Tsunade Children, just like clips of them. I was like, I should watch this anime. Like, Tsunade Children is fucking hilarious. I thought it was hilarious. And then gamers, I thought I was like, yeah, I agree that it's gonna be mediocre. Like,
I have a hard time talking about Tsurezure Children because it's a short. Every episode's only like 5 minutes.
Oh, really?
So-
Oh, that kind of sucks. I thought it was gonna be more than that. I mean, I guess how more they can go, but this is one couple. Have you seen?
No. It's a bunch of couples.
Well, no, but there's this one couple I fucking like. He keeps it real. He's like, how much you paying for yourself?
Oh,
The glasses guy or whatever. Fuck.
That's like the only sort of messed up relationship in the show.
Dude, that messed up relation was the best out of the show to me. And then the little sister one.
The little sister.
Like the little sister that likes her brother. And like her face changed between the scenes. Funny.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the better shows. It's just unfortunate that it's a short.
Do you think it's better that it's short though? Because I'm not sure what else they can do.
No, I mean, no, I agree. I don't think it could be a long one, but
Like just like how people want Shelter to be an anime, it'd be a 5-minute short.
sure. My point is, it's unfortunate that one of the best things this season is a short, not that it is a short. Made in Abyss, the latest episode. Well, I guess an episode came out, the day that we're recording it, but the episode before that was absolutely insane. That episode is what I was expecting from Abyss in the first place. I was expecting to watch this 10-year-old girl have blood ooze out of her eyes, ears, nose, and mouth as her robot friend, has to break her arm and potentially cut off her swollen, poisoned limb. So my biggest complaint with the anime, simplified, is that the world is interesting, but the characters are not. It took too long to make me care about what's going on. New Game is a franchise I sometimes forget how much I like it. It's an average anime that, occasionally touches on some pretty poignant topics for those of us in creative fields. For example, Alba, I might have already gave this example, but Alba spent weeks completing... For example, Alba spent... I'm too drunk to read my notes.
Jeez, dude.
Hey man, I'm not drunk. No, I want more drinks.
So, for example, Alba spent weeks competing with her manager to draw a piece of key art for the company's new game. And after so much struggle, she finally made something she was proud of. And yet, when Alba asked her manager to see what she had been working on, she just broke down into tears. And we can all relate to that. Pouring our heart into something, being truly proud of it, and then still feel defeated when comparing ourselves with others, because she knew her work was still not as good as her manager's. Koitu Uso, I think I previously mentioned watching Koitu Uso, how it's my guilty pleasure. It's just like a smutty soap opera pretty much. And I still stick to that opinion of it for the most part. I think some concepts presented in the show are genuinely interesting, and I'm pretty, invested in the whole who will he choose aspect. Although I am worried about the anime having an actual conclusion, because apparently the manga is still ongoing. I will reserve my final opinion until I see the last episode. Princess Principal, I mentioned my breaking point with the show happened back on the train scene, even though I should have trusted my intuition back on episode 1. Like most things...
I heard that anime was alright. Is it really that...
It's not good.
I'm sad. I was going to check it out. Because the title threw me off. Mm-hmm. That's why I didn't watch it. But my friend who watched it, he was like, it's not that bad. Like, the Princess Principal didn't mean anything about it. Mm-mm. It's just the name of it. I was like, oh, okay, I'll check it out. He's like, it's alright.
But like most things, there are... enjoying moments or aspects about it, but overall it's just a great example of convoluted storytelling. The whole switcheroo episode was neat, but it happened past the point of me caring about the series at all. Recreators, so much has happened in that show that I don't know if I can give a solid opinion on.
Is Recreators the one where it's like a dating sim?
A what?
Is it a dating sim one?
Dating?
Recreators?
Recreators is the one where where anime characters are appearing in reality. It's in a state that's more suited for conversation and speculation rather than like definite opinion. Unfortunately, you guys haven't seen it, so if I had to say something, it would be that I regard the show as of now as good, generally speaking, but the magic of the world is what may be deterring me from the feeling of, being invested in the story. I really love how the show uses audience acceptance as a method to bring life to a story and its characters, but I don't know if it's adhering to its own teachings. Kill la Kill, for example, succeeded at conveying an interesting societal message alongside an interesting story, whereas the societal message, the meta, feels more prominent than the plot itself in Recreators. Classroom of the Elite is the epitome of an anime that is conceptually brilliant but fails in its execution. And I guess we'll save Boku no Hero talk until we're all caught up. No, it's gonna go on for a little bit, right? Or is it ending soon?
But I mean, if we wait till next time, it'll just be done, right?
Sure, I guess. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah. But it's been the usual.
I'll be sure to close my ears for that part. Just like, all right.
But unless you guys have any other shows you've been watching, we can wrap it up now.
Nah, Kuroko, 75 episodes. That was a lot.
So if you have any questions or suggestions for episode topics, please send us as many as you'd like. I can pretty much guarantee if you send us a question, yours will be read because we are embarrassingly low on questions. You can send them to myself at Secret Otaku on Tumblr, email us at theweeabooze@gmail.com, or just leave a comment wherever you're listening. Join us on Twitch for when we record live, and join us on our Discord so you can talk to us whenever you would like. Also, consider supporting us on Patreon or leaving an iTunes review if you like what we do. And more than anything, please share the podcast because word of mouth is pretty much the only way we get new listeners. We want to thank Hentai Dude for our intro and Kuwagata for our outro. And like always, get
drunk, say the word
and
anime. See you guys next time.
Peace out, guys.
You can catch me smoking a sour off the coast of Okinawa. Feeling so high like I'm Ho-Oh in that tower. Take a flight on some shit. Got my dogs riding beside me, blazing hot. That's kamikaze, sacred fire. Don't be mad, I'm lit. Catch me smoking a sour off the coast of Okinawa. Feeling so high like I'm Ho-Oh in that tower. Take a flight on some shit. Got my dogs riding beside me, blazing hot. That's kamikaze, sacred fire. Don't be mad, I'm lit.